more to tell you.
The Southeast Coaches Show airs every Tuesday at noon on ESPN 92.9 FM at 12:20 a.m. Live from Wings Etc. in Cape and Jackson. This is your chance to delve deep into the Redhawks football season with head coach Tom Matukowicz.
Now, ladies and gentlemen,
Let's go live to Wings Etc. Right here on CMO ESPN.
And we welcome you in for another edition and another season of the Redhawks Coaches Show. We've got Coach Tom Matukowicz here, the Redhawks football team getting set to open its season Saturday night in Lawrence, Kansas at 97-year-old Memorial Stadium against the University of Kansas. So it'll be the Redhawks and the Jayhawks, and this will be our first of many coaches shows every Tuesday right here at Wings. We are in the Cape Girardeau location this week and next week, and then we will transition over to the Jackson location. We'll keep you updated on all of that, and we want to remind you that Wings, in addition to their award-winning jumbo wings, both dine-in and carry-out, they have a full menu featuring their freshly made burgers, their wraps, subs, quesadillas, entree salads. They have smoked ribs as well. Their appetizer lineup includes their ultimate nachos and their deep-fried pickle spears. And you'll notice all the high-def flat-screen televisions when you walk in. We've got some football here. I saw a replay of the McGregor and Mayweather fight. I see the Golf Channel is on one of the televisions. I see some tennis going on. Coach Tom Matukowicz is here. If you can't find it in the sports world on one of the TVs at Wings, it's just not on.
Yeah, exactly right.
All right, you're getting set to head to the University of Kansas on Saturday night. How are you feeling about your team? And one thing you and I talked about a few moments ago, you're pretty healthy going into opening week.
Yeah, I think we've been able to do a good job with our new strength coach of building strength, and then I think we've done a good job of trying to take care of our players that if they were going to get hurt, it's going to be against KU and not versus the Redhawks. So we've been able to practice at a level where we've been able to keep our guys healthy. And so, I'm just glad we're at game week. We started July 31st. Our first practice was July 31st, so it's been a long time, and we needed every ounce of it, but it's good to be in game week. And one of the biggest things that hasn't been talked about that has been on my mind is just our culture. I really revamped what we were doing, how we were doing it, and trying to when I had to look in the mirror last year, we had better coaches and better players in 3 and 8. I mean, I believe that like I believe in gravity. So, really had to just look in the mirror and look at why did we come up short? And the answer, at first I thought it was players or I thought it was scheme, but in reality, we were 3 and 8 because we behaved like we were 3 and 8. With undisciplined play and lots of things. So that's where we've really gone to work on. Reestablishing our culture, making sure that we're going to have an 8-3 type culture, not a 3-8 type culture. And since I've been here, we haven't been able to create a really connected team. Every great team I've been on had deep relationships, brothers for life type relationships. And so I've really tried to create that opportunities to where they share and get to know each other. And because it's hard. If you walk down our locker room before a game, and I got pool tables, I got card tables and all that, you know what they're doing?
On their phones.
Yeah, so you have to hit the pause button and get them to interact with each other and to get to know each other so that you have a connected team. And now what happened is you care more about the person next to you in the mirror, and so you're going to do the extra things. You're going to watch the film. You're going to go to class. You're going to do all these things because you don't want to let your teammates down. It's one thing to not let me down, and it's another thing to not let your teammates down.
I heard P.J. Fleck, the head coach at the University of Minnesota now, talking about hydration and how they do all these. No, it's Tom Herman from Texas. I'm sorry, it wasn't Fleck. It was Tom Herman, and he was talking about how much they have really focused in on hydrating the players, and they've got color charts as far as hydration. And one of the big topics of conversation around the program is if you are not hydrated, you are not being a good teammate. I mean, it's all about, with a lot of coaches, about being good teammates, about bonding in a family thing. I mean, that seems to be a theme that I've heard from several successful head coaches.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. That's what people don't understand. Like, when you join a family, right? I have a family, or when you join a team, the decisions you make don't just affect you, right? They affect your team. They affect your family. And so you have to understand that every decision you decide to make has an effect on each other. And here's the three things we ask our guys. And when we say, hey, be a good teammate, well, what does that mean? Here's the three questions we ask. Are you committed? Are you committed to excellence? Do you care? Right? I know they care about what the film looks like, but do you care about the person next to you, right? And then can we trust you? Like, if you can answer yes to those three things, then you're a good teammate. And it doesn't matter how many yards you have, but that's what it takes, and that's what people have to understand is everything matters. And when you decide to let your teammates down, there is a consequence to that, and that's the whole philosophy behind the yellow shirt that we do and how we handle our discipline. It's not just for them. It's for them to realize that you are hurting your teammates.
You know, one thing, if you delve in a little bit deeper than just on the surface of what your overall record was last year, 3-8, you dig a little bit deeper, you were at the games, you followed how the games transitioned. Of those 8 losses, 4 of those losses were by a combined 12 points. You were in a lot of close football games, and the final 2 minutes of the game decided some of those games.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing that hard to swallow. I mean, I remember season end, man, I was pissed, sad. I mean, you name it, I was it, because I was just, you know, you think, well, that comes down to coaching. Why couldn't I get our team past that hump? And so, you know, I was one of the first conversations I had with Brady, and the number one thing we had to do was we had to get our strength and conditioning right. Like, you know, look at the fight. McGregor was fine until what?
Fatigue.
Yeah. So, like, Coach Knapp and all that gets us to a point to where at least physically we're ready. Now it's my job culturally to have a team that will execute at the highest point. Like, we need to execute when it's hard. That's what we haven't been able to do. 3rd down, red zone, 2-minute, all these situations where we failed. Well, we failed because the culture we have didn't sustain the kind of behaviors it takes to excel in those type of environments, and that's what we've been working on. And if you come to a practice, I bet I said Finn. My children think their names are Finish. Hey, Finish and Finish, all right, instead of Georgia and Shelby, because that's about the only thing I've been saying.
Ryan Napoli is your new strength and conditioning coordinator. I don't know, did you see the newspaper today, the Southeast Missourian? He's got 2 massive photos, headshots of him, and there's a big article, really good article, but he's got more face time in the paper than you do. Well,
first of all, I got something to say, all right? So I tried to read the Bible and the paper every day. That way I know what both sides are up to. All right? And so we'll find out about Coach Knapp come fourth quarter. That's what I told him. So
you want to give some of the listeners who may not know much about Coach Napoli and the championship pedigree that he brings to Cape Girardeau?
I think we talk about Coach Knapp enough. If you want to hear about him, read the paper. All right. What I'm interested in what he's able to do in the fourth quarter on Saturday.
Coach, coming from North Dakota State, and when you're talking about programs that are at the very top of the heap, I mean, they're the premier college football program in FCS. Would you agree?
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to talk about Coach Knapp.
All right. Well, at least we want to point out North Dakota State and a championship pedigree. As you get ready to go, Coach, is it a good thing or a bad thing? Because you can say you've got a team like Kansas was a couple of years ago, and they were winless. Okay, then you return 15 starters off of that team. Okay, you've got guys back, but is that a good thing? Because with the same guys, you didn't win any games. You've got 9 starters coming back. Good thing, bad thing? How do you rate it?
Well, in my profession, we're fixing on finding out. Right, come Saturday. I think the thing that I like about this team is we return our best players. I think that's almost more important. You can return your whole coaching staff, but if they're not committed and working relentlessly at trying to get better, it doesn't help you to bring them back. So same way with our players. We bring our best player on offense, our quarterback. We bring our best wideout, our tight end, all right, which people aren't talking about, but Logan Larson is a good player. Bring our best D lineman, Josh Wilson, our best linebackers, and our best DB back. So that's where the confidence, as far as at least bring your best players back from a year ago. And now, you know, there'll be some growing pains with some new first-year players, but it's still the best roster I've had. So, you know, that's our job as coaches, coach them. Because even with our specialists, like, well, okay, we lost 2 All-American specialists. Well, the other 10 are the best since I've been here. So I don't want to hear about our punt game or our kickoff game. They should still be good. You know, those guys got to step up until those young guys are comfortable and performing and all those things. Like, it's like a family. Like, you got to step up and lead sometimes, you know, until one unit's performing as well as they can.
This is year 4 for you, so you have gotten to the point now where it's your roster, and I know that that makes the coach a little more comfortable.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is just, like, we're big. Like, you know, I think that's a issue in the fourth quarter. Little people wear down. Like, I'm not trying to say I'm against little people, but I kind of am on the football field, right? My wife's little and my kids are little. I love them, but they'd be terrible players. In the fourth quarter, you know, that size helps you sustain, you know, and so when you get in the fourth quarter, you don't wear down as quick. And everybody in the 2 deep on the O-line and D-line are 3+. And so for the first time, you know, you feel like you have that model in place.
And the one thing that you do have in place for the first time in your tenure at Southeast is you've got your starting quarterback back for a second straight season. Jesse Hoskett had a nice year a season ago, and I know you have really been impressed with his leadership skills.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You know, he's always worked hard. He's always loved football. He's always been good at it. But, you know, he is not like a lot of the other guys. You know, he is really, really mature for his age, and he comes from a place where they don't talk, they work. And so that's not okay if you're a starting quarterback. Like, you have to be able to lead verbally. And I think the difference between last year is he was saying things because he knew we wanted him to. Where now this year he has a command that's different. If something goes wrong, you know, he steps in there, and it's like Coach Tuke said it or Coach Weimer said it. He has that command and the tension of the offense. As he goes, we'll go.
He has looked sharp, I know, already in workouts. What do you see differently, at least as far as on-the-field skills, from last season to what you've seen already this year with Jesse?
Well, he's a little more athletic. You know, if we wanted to run him, we could. I mean, we could do that. I think he's been able to have a little better anticipation to where he doesn't have to always throw fastballs. You know, we dropped a lot of balls a year ago, and that was obviously on wideouts, but also his touch has gotten a little bit better. And so, you know, I just think he's improved. I think he's finishing Coach Weimer's sentences. I sat in our quarterback meeting last night, and they're on the same page, and that is just really critical, that when he hears the call, he knows what to make. And we're going to, you know, he's going to check a lot of things too. I mean, he really is at that level, being able to check plays and get us in good concepts.
So early on last year, when he was your starting quarterback, did you feel like maybe the training wheels were on early as he learned the system and the coaches kind of learned his tendencies and everything, and you have the luxury and more trust with him now that maybe the playbook's open a little bit more and you see him recognize things a little more? Yeah,
last year we didn't even know he's going to be a starter till a week out from Memphis, so it's just – and him and the last year, both quarterbacks were different. So the game plans were different. It made it awkward. Where now all the energy has been putting into surrounding Jesse with the scheme that fits him and then players that fit him. And so, you know, we got to be able to see those results. We got to score more points, and I anticipate us do that.
And the one thing that's going to help in scoring more points is if you have a solidified offensive line that you're able to protect Jesse Hoskett and open up some running lanes, and you've got some turnover on the offensive line.
Yeah, I think that's the key. We're good enough at skill we're good enough at skill, but now will our own line be able to have balance? If we give Jesse a good, clean pocket, he can make all throws. He could throw a field comeback at 17 yards. But if we can't run the ball, then people are going to take that away. So we have to have balance, and they got to be able to protect Jesse, and they got to be able to get play started in the run game for our tailbacks.
And the guy that's going to be protecting the blind side of your quarterback is your left tackle, Drew Forbes. And, man, he is really transitioning into a heck of an offensive lineman.
Yeah, he's really taken that next step. And also, you know, certainly fundamentally, but also from just a intensity and trying to impose his will on another human being, you know. And so him playing really physical and is really going to pay off for us.
All right, how's the rest of the offensive line look in your estimation?
They're all improved. We brought in 3 junior college guys that semester. A center and 2 guards are all going to start for us. So we feel like we hit on those kids, and they've been able to get better. And they're big, really big, you know. So, you know, we're fixing on finding out.
You'll find out very quickly in terms of what you see from Kansas. I know people on the, you know, peripheral will kind of look and say, well, you know, they were 2-10 last year. One of those wins was over the Texas Longhorns, and they have maybe the best pass rusher in the Big 12, one of the best pass rushers in all of college football. So your offensive line is going to be challenged from snap number 1.
Yep, their D-line is as good as we'll face, certainly even in the playoffs. So we got to be able to handle that, and we got to do a good job of not letting those guys beat us, make them beat us a different way. So if it's 3rd and long, you know, and we got to know where those guys are at.
Redhawks have made their living under Coach Tuke, being able to establish the running game. We'll talk about that with Coach Tom Matukowicz when we come back. We are at Wings, etc. in Cape Girardeau. It is the opening Redhawks Coaches Show of the football season with Coach Tom Matukowicz. More with Coach Tuke from Wings after this timeout on SEMO ESPN.
Nothing better than award-winning jumbo wings and an ice-cold schooner while you watch great sports programming on huge flat screens at Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. If you love wings and a whole menu of great food and drink options, come to Wings Etc. for lunch, dinner, late-night drinks and snacking, and lots of HDTV sports. And now, when you can't eat, drink, and watch the game here, order online for pickup at togo.wingsetc.com. It's fast, easy, and convenient. Wings Etc. Grill and Pub. Good food, great times, and online ordering at togo.wingsetc.com.
My wife just sent me a text. I need to calm down.
Redhawk Sports can be heard all season long on SEMO ESPN, SEMOESPN.com, and the SEMO ESPN app. Whether it's football, men's and women's basketball, or baseball, hear it all on SEMO ESPN 92.9, SEMO ESPN 1220, SEMOESPN.com, or the SEMO ESPN app. The Redhawks are ready for another great season, and make sure you don't miss a minute of the action with SEMO ESPN. The Redhawks Radio Network is brought to you by Southeast Health, the Missouri Conservation Nature Center, and Cofell Distributing.
How was your day?
Fine.
Did you learn anything new?
No.
Anything I should know?
No.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be hard to connect with teens. Use Connect With Me activity cards to deepen your conversations. Visit health.mo.gov/connect to access these free cards and other resources.
A message from the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
The remnants of Tropical Storm Harvey look to bring some rain and some wind to the area late this week in the parts of this Labor Day weekend. For the rest of your Tuesday, we'll see a mostly sunny sky, highs low 80s, partly cloudy tonight, low to mid 60s, a touch warmer Wednesday, sunny clouds, highs mid 80s. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Todd Horn.
Did you watch them
You're
at all?
up to date with the latest weather forecast right here on the ESPN Radio Network.
This is Mike Golick for the best in local sports talk and play-by-play. It's SEMO ESPN.
Welcome back. It is the Redhawks Coaches Show with Coach Tom Matukowicz. Coach Tuke's Redhawks will open the season in Lawrence, Kansas at the University of Kansas coming up on Saturday night. And we are broadcasting the first of every Tuesday during football season from Wings, etc. We're in the Cape Girardeau location. We'll be back in Cape next week as well. You'll enjoy their comfortable, laid-back atmosphere here at Wings. Great food, friendly service. Don't forget, especially if you're coming for lunch, they have the daily half-pound lunch specials, and those start at just $6.49. So lunch specials for $6.49. They've got food and drink specials throughout the week, including, keep in mind, on Mondays, 59-cent wings. And Mom and Dad, they have a terrific kids menu. They have family-friendly video games in the dining rooms, and they are open 7 days a week, late on the weekend when the games run late. Now, I do want to put this out here before we talk about the rest of your offense, Coach Tuke. You have a bye week. Your lone bye week is going to be October 7th. And so you actually don't get as much of a bye week as you thought because it's the Redhawks Trivia Night and Auction, which is sponsored by the Bank of Missouri. It'll be Saturday night, October 7th at the Show Me Center. 8 rounds of general trivia. Food and drink is all included. There are student athletes and coaches who join you at your table for every round of the trivia. They have a unique silent and live auction items and packages that you can bid on. You get an 8-team or a team of 8. You can go online to gosoutheast.com/trivia if you want to get involved. That's gosoutheast.com/trivia. All the proceeds will benefit the SEMO Athletics Department. Again, Saturday night, October 7th at the Show Me Center. That was really fun last year. I know you and several of your athletes were a part of it.
Oh, absolutely, and that's a signature event. I remember when Brady rolled that out, I was like, man, that's a terrible idea. I didn't tell him that, but that's what I thought.
He is here, by the way, sitting right over at the bar.
And after going to it, man, it was fabulous. We got to interact. I think I didn't like it because I'm like the last guy you'd ever ask a trivia question to.
But I saw people asking you.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, they got to interact, and I think that's one of our best signature events now, and we're going to make it bigger and better. I see Coach Ray back in there. I'm going to ask him for a loan. But I want to make sure we give him a shout-out with his 2-year extension and give him a hand there. But I think that's one thing that I really appreciate about Brady's leadership. And, we think we got the right guy. Well, we got to do more than just talk about it and give commitment from a contract. And obviously Brady and Dr. Vargas feel great about him, as I do, and look forward to following the Redhawks this year in basketball.
Coach Rick Ray is here. If you have not heard, a 2-year contract extension that will keep him under contract at Southeast through the year 2021. He signed a 4-year deal originally and led the Redhawks to the 26th best turnaround in college basketball last year. They won 10 more games than they did a season ago, went from 8th to 1st in turnover margin. They went from last to second in three-point shooting, last in the league to second in free throw shooting. So, I mean, all the numbers back up what the overall numbers were, a plus 10 in victories and getting things turned around. And, I think if you talk with Coach Ray, it starts with the same thing that you just talked about, change the culture.
Yeah. And I think it's even more of that. I just think you just know if you got the right guy, you got the right guy. It's not about numbers because it's just about the process. And eventually you work and 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 you work, and then eventually you have a breakthrough. And I know he's super proud of his staff and the jobs they did recruiting to be able to bring a class like that could actually impact the season that year. And it's fun. The Show Me Center was rocking since almost the first time since I've been there, I guess. But it just seemed like there was just a really, really good feel.
What you're hoping is a good feel for your ball club is the ability to tote the rock, and that is run the football. And the guy who fans are going to have to learn how to pronounce his name is Marquez Terry, junior college All-American, but he's the guy that sits at number 1 on the depth chart at tailback.
Yeah, he goes by Quez, try to help everybody out because I needed help too. Personally, I don't believe in 2 names. You should just get 1 name. The Bible got away with it, so why can't we? But Moses, I just call him, yeah.
I don't know what Moses' last name was.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
It's Moses. His is Quez. And so, it's going to be fun. We don't even know what we really have there because we don't do a lot of scrimmaging. I knew right away that he's pretty good, so I didn't want to get him hurt. So even some of the scrimmages, we held him. And so that'll be interesting. But as you know and I know, if you only have one tailback, you're going to be in trouble. So we have some depth there. And Cam Sanders is a guy that's, kind of made his name on special teams, but he's going to have a bigger role in the backfield. And we got actually several guys that we feel pretty good back there.
Cameron Sanders, who, for those who haven't followed it, is an All-American kick returner for the Redhawks. So one of the most dangerous the best kick returner in the Ohio Valley Conference. And he's a guy that never played running back until he met Tom Matukowicz. So this will be year 3 for him transitioning to the new position. How have you seen him evolve?
Yeah, I'm super proud of him and Coach Langford, the job he's done with him. A lot of times, he'll see a hole and he would try to cut and he'd fall down. He was really it was almost like a baby colt. Like he had to really learn a lot of skill sets, but now he's making those cuts. He's getting the vision. He's always been good enough. Like just physically, like he could run, he's big, but being running back's a lot different than just that. You have to have vision, you got to be able to get in and out of your cuts, do a great job with ball security, which he has, just really proud.
Two different running backs in terms of stature because Marquez Terry, 5'6", 179, and then you got Cam, 6'1", 212.
Yeah, and that's nice too. But at the end of the day, I think they're only going to be as good as Coach Blake and the O-line can, get done this year. So we need to make sure we focus on those things, and we have been. And so, I look for that to be a strength this year.
Christian Wilkerson, Coach, is back. He's your top wideout and returning wideout, led the OVC in yards per reception. This is a guy who was great at the deep ball. How have you seen Christian Wilkerson's game change, and how much of an impact guy does he have the potential to be in your offense?
Well, I think the one thing, have you been close to Christian?
Oh, yeah.
Have you been like this? Like he's a big man.
He is
like
a big dude.
He does not look like a wideout. He has actual muscles, which are nice to have on football players. And so one frustration we had was run after catch. Because really, if you're a corner, you're not like that. And so we want to see him catch the ball and make plays after that too. And he has seemed to have grown there, and Coach Martin's done a good job getting him there, being able to break some of those arm tackles that we need him to. Because he should. He's big enough, strong enough, athletic enough. We just got to, make it happen.
Tyler McLemore is back as well, and there's a guy who really came on as the season progressed last year.
Yeah. Doing a really good job, man. I'm telling you, I'm super proud of Tyler McLemore. From when I first got here and to where he is right now, he's like a completely different human being. I was down at the jail, got him out of jail once. He'd probably be mad I bring it up. And he had like a 2.0 when I got here. Now he's like a 3.0. He's getting married. He's going to have a child. He was named Leadership Council, which I have nothing, like your teammates vote you leadership council. And it just goes to show you about you got to have a growth mentality. Like you're not born a certain way. You got to work on yourself to make yourself into what you want to be.
Trayvon Billington, Coach, from Soldan High School in St. Louis, sophomore wideout, listed at number 1 at one of the receivers on the depth chart. Tell us about him.
Same thing, he's shown some spurts of some things. He needed to mature a little bit off the field, which he has, and physically he needed to mature. So Coach Knapp's done a really good job with him in the weight room, and he's put a lot of good film out there during the preseason, and so we're excited about him.
And when you signed freshman Zach Smith a couple of years ago, out of Mayo High School in Louisville, I know you were very complimentary. You're excited. He took his redshirt season a year ago. What type of a player are we going to see from the freshman Zach Smith?
Well, he broke his collarbone, or he may have played last year. This year he had a foot injury, so we may have to hold him versus KU. So we're not sure what that's going to look like, but I'm telling you, we're super high on him. He's got a tremendous work ethic. He's fast, and got great ball skills. He's just been a little hampered with some minor injuries, and so we really got to see what that looks like today. But certainly he's got a bright future.
You mentioned him a little earlier, Logan Larson at tight end, battled injury all of last year. What type of an impact could he have on this offense, and one more outlet for Jesse Hoskett in the passing game?
Yeah, I think he is the guy that people will, because last year, he had hip surgery. He didn't play at all, and he was a starter the year before, and we got that news right before fall camp, so it was a rough injury for us on offense. And him being back, he's better. He feels better, and sometimes windows are tight, and coverage are good, and to be able to have a guy like that window for Jesse to throw it into is a little bit bigger because of the size he has. Plus, he could set edges in the run game. He's strong. He benches almost 400 pounds. Like he's a really strong guy for his size.
Who are some other names that Redhawk fans should get used to knowing offensively that might be a factor for you?
I'm not great with names, so I'll probably leave somebody out if I go down that train. I'm trying to think. I'll tell you.
Bud
Brody,
Hilburn is a guy.
One guy I'd like to name is Brody Wheeler. Okay, Brody's from Texas. We have 3 guys from Texas that obviously have family in Texas, and certainly, that state's going through a really tough time right now. But I'm really, really proud of Brody Wheeler. He's been here for like 27 years, and I've yelled at him every day all my life since I've met this man. But same thing, he's got his GPA over a 3.0. He's bought in the weight room, and now he's starting at tight end. And I'm telling you, he was on the heat pile of death and desperate. Like there was no one going to, we would buy him for 50 cents a year ago. And now he's starting for us. And I met with our seniors, and I told them this, that, every good team I've been on, their seniors go out playing their best ball. You know what I mean? And when you have seniors that don't play their best ball, normally you don't have the kind of season that you're capable of having, and he's one of them. I really feel like he'll leave being a Red Hawk playing their best ball, and that says a lot about them as a person.
On the defensive side of the football, Coach, and I know you get a little bit more involved on the defense, but you're going to go with the 3-man front again this year. What are your thoughts on the defensive line, which is obviously anchored by big, strong Josh Wilson?
Well, we, like I said, we have our depth chart as far as our 300-pounders, but we have 2 freshmen in the 2 deep, and that's certainly not good. We lost some guys to academics, which is embarrassing, and so that's created a little bit lack of depth in the defensive line, and so those freshmen have had to step into that role, and Coach Kuhn's done a good job. Physically, they'll be okay. We just got to get them mentally to be able to handle the how hard it is to be a Division I athlete. Like you think about your Monday, like, man, our kids are grinding. They got 20 hours of football and weights, and they ain't even picked up a book. And if you're a true freshman, it's almost overwhelming. And so that is more of the concern for those freshmen, even more so than just physically against KU. But a couple of those freshmen have done a nice job. Clarence is a guy. Clarence Thornton's from Memphis. He played just a little bit last year, so people didn't really realize him, but I think he'll be a featured guy. I think you'll be like, hey, who's that guy? Because he's that guy that just can make the dynamic play. For a big man, he's really shifty. He's even a really good pass rusher for being 300 pounds.
And then on the offensive tackle, in addition, is Reggie Miles, 6'4", 315, just a sophomore out of Ellsworth Community College.
Yeah, he's a kid we brought in that semester. Feel really good about. He's starting at our nose guard, and he's one of those guys that benches 400 pounds. He's just that big D lineman you see in the NFL that's able to control the line of scrimmage.
Then you've got the impact linebackers, obviously, Chad Meredith and Kendall Donnerson. These guys are just primed. I mean, they had great years a season ago, but at least on paper, primed to have huge, huge seasons anchoring your defense.
Yeah, and they need to have a big year, and they need to be able to affect a game because they're capable of it. We have to do a good job of making sure they're rested on really important situations like third down, 2-minute red zone. You know, if they're tired, then they're not as effective. So we got to be able to balance that. Certainly in a game like KU where you could literally take 85 to 95 snaps, like because of the tempo and stuff. And so we got to manage them well so that on third down or 2 minute that they can really get those tackles for losses or sacks that we need from them. And you know, they've done everything we've asked. They're poised. They're healthy, and now we just got to go out and execute.
You know, there were times last year, you know, certain spurts where it just looked like offensive lines could not block Kendall Donnerson.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he is a dominant player. You know, they don't know where he's going because we don't even know where he's going half the time, which makes it hard. But when you look at him, you'll say, man, that's a really good-looking kid. He's probably 225. He's 255. 255 with 7% body fat. I mean, think about that. Like, that is a load coming at you. And so, and the NFL scouts, they love Kendall, and they love Chad also.
Chad used to be listed at 6'5". He's lost an inch on the depth chart now. He's at 6'4" right now.
Well, welcome to old age, Chad. It happens.
But one more thing about Chad Meredith, that you just don't see linebackers as tall as he is. And, boy, does that benefit him being that tall? Because it's a unique thing. You're not going to – we probably won't play a team all year that has a 6'5" linebacker.
They don't make many of them.
Yeah.
And length does matter. It matters a lot. You know, when people go to the NFL, wingspan, hand size, and things like that are really critical measurements to go along with your film. And so they love that. He's one that really benefited from moving from a 4-man front to a 3-man front because he could play on the edges. You know, if you're inside and all you're doing is ISOs and getting downhill, you're kind of easily blocked when you're that big. But on the edge, you know, he gets a lot of PBUs or knockdown passes. You know, he has that length on an offensive tackle when he rushes the passer to be able to use that length to get home.
And you've got Garrett back at linebacker, not Roper, who had a tremendous career for the Redhawks, but his brother Ryder, who is now himself, it doesn't seem like he could be a fifth-year senior already, but he's a fifth-year senior.
Yeah, proud of him. And, you know, he walked on as his brother did. He not only earned a full scholarship, but he's also on the Leadership Council. And so you don't come out of the womb like that. The Garrett family has done a good job raising children. They know how to work. They know how to invest in others, and I certainly appreciate them. I'll tell you the other one is Zach. You know, he played as a true freshman alongside Ryder a little bit last year and alongside Roper, and he made a lot of plays. And I'm telling you, he for a true freshman, that was pretty shocking. So I think he'll be another guy that people be trying to look at because he can make those dynamic plays. They all of a sudden look at, you know, who's number 5. Is that his number? Is it number 5?
He's number 5, Zach Hall, 238 pounds now. Again, you know, Zach Smith, same high school, high school in Louisville, so those guys used to be teammates.
Yeah, and won a lot of football games, and have coached really, really well, and they're great teammates.
In the defensive secondary, it was a blow for the team to lose Mike Ford last year. What a leader, what a player.
Yeah.
He can impact the football game in many different ways, but he is back. He is healthy. He's ready to go.
Yeah, and he's off to one of his best starts. You know, he just has kind of a focus and maturity that he's never had. Like, he is as locked in as any coach. I mean, he really wants it. He wants to do what it takes to be successful. But I'd say the difference, though, is he cares about his teammates more than he did a year ago. He would tell you that if he was here today. He was voted on our leadership council, and that says a lot. Like, he not only cares about playing well and being able to play at the next level, he generally cares about the Redhawks and his teammates, and I think that'll be the difference.
As far as names in the backfield, in the defensive backfield, Shabari Davis is scheduled to start at the other cornerback, and then we see the name Al Young, who is a very, very known name here.
Well,
in
he's
Girardeau.
known name because you keep bringing his up, and you and the Southeast Missourian keep bringing him up.
Well,
that's why he's a known name, because everybody keeps talking about him.
He was arguably the greatest player to ever play football at Cape Girardeau Central. So a lot of people
that ended a couple years ago.
Yeah, but
now he's a Redhawk.
People have an interest in Al, and I know that for a while there you were okay. Maybe he's going to play on offense, but you feel like he makes more of an impact on defense.
Well, I appreciate Al, and he's working really hard to become a better player. Physically, he's better. He repped at wideout, and I think he could play wideout. But honestly, like as a coach, like you don't do what's best for Al. That's not my job. My job's to do what's best for the Redhawks, and we felt like we're underperforming at corner. We don't have the depth that we needed, and so I pulled him in, asked him to move right before camp, and he loves his teammates enough to do that. Even though we knew that it's going to take a little bit of time, but he could still do the things that makes Al great. You know, when that ball's in the air now, it's a little different because he has just as good a ball skills as the other guy they're throwing it to, where sometimes that's not the case. And so he's done a good job along with Shabari's going to be our punt returner. This guy has a 42-inch vertical. He's got a rocket for, he's got great speed, and so we're really excited to see what that looks like on Saturday.
And then one familiar name back at safety, Omar Pierre-Louis, who has played a lot of football for you.
Yeah, and he's another guy that got voted on Leadership Council. He's a senior that has improved his game from a year ago, and he's really locked in. He's a great teammate. He this game in particular, our secondary has to do a great job communicating. They go really fast. They have unorthodox formations, and they get you off kilter, and they're just going fast. And so if our safeties Omar can't communicate with the other DBs in the front, then we're going to have some issues. So he needs to really have a great game Saturday, not only physically but verbally.
I don't know if you've got any other freshmen that are scheduled to be number one on the depth chart, but you've got one at safety. But Darius Knighton, a young man out of Tunica, Mississippi. What can you tell us about him?
He was a kid that could have played last year at corner. We decided to redshirt him, and he's put on the weight that we wanted him to see. And, he's coming along well. But
is that a luxury to have a guy who has cornerback skills that's playing safety?
Yeah. We would really like to not have safeties or corners. We'd really just like to have DBs. Because if you're not very good at covering, you know what that's called? A linebacker. Okay, so if a coach calls me and says, "Hey, coach, I got a great player for you. He's a safety." Now he can't cover that well, but he can, fill on the run. I was like, "Bro, that's called a linebacker." So we want our DBs to be able to cover first, and I think this is as athletic as we've been. But we gotta play better pass defense, and so it starts with Chad and Kendall affecting the quarterback, but then those guys got to be able to make plays on balls and 2-minute drives so we can win the football game.
If there are passing yards put up, sometimes people will reflexively say, "Oh well, the defensive secondary isn't covering very well, and there's a lot of passing yards." One thing you got to understand, I think back to the Eastern Kentucky game last year, putting pressure on the opposing quarterback has a lot to do with the passing game.
Absolutely does. And I think that's where good pass defense starts. Good pass defense starts with a good pass rush and making sure we have good schemes to beat their protections, but we also have good players there. And then, being able to disguise in the secondary, play some zone, play some man, all those type of things. And ultimately, having an athletic secondary so when that ball's in the air, you get one turnover, the game's over. And so that's where we feel like we've improved our roster.
All right, special teams, a big luxury to have Cameron Sanders back, and he not only is the best kick returner in the conference, he's one of the best kick returners in the country.
Yeah, he does a great job. You know, like you said, he's got the size, he's got the speed. As a program, we're really committed to special teams. We work really hard on it. Coach Martin does a great job with it. We're committed to play our best players. We got, you know, and that's got to continue to happen this year. And so, you know, you never know. People may kick away from Cam.
I was going to say, do you anticipate do you have a backup plan
for sure.
when guys are kicking away from him?
Yeah, absolutely do. We work on it, and that gives maybe an opportunity to find the next Cam. You know, that's what we talk about.
Shabari Davis is listed as a kick returner as well.
So, you know, we can't control that. All we can control is our plan, make sure we got answers for every question that might come up in a game. And if they decide not to kick the Cam, okay, well, let's use that to our advantage. And if they decide to kick the Cam, great, let's go score.
Let's talk about your kicker because Ryan McCrum is gone. You know, he won All-American status while he was here. He was not only he was great on kickoffs as well. How many touchbacks where the opposing team doesn't even get a chance to return the opening kickoff? Again, a junior, Nicholas Letang, is going to be the guy out of New Mexico Military Institute. What can you tell us about Letang?
Well, we'll have two kickers, Nicholas, and we call him Nico. So he's got a sweet name, right?
Yeah,
like you
that's
can't,
good.
like how are you going to yell at Nico, right? You miss a field goal, it's still Nico, so you give him a hug. But he's going to be our field goal kicker, and then Tiller's going to be our kickoff specialist. So it'll be two different, which is new, which I like, though, because they're both new starters. They could just focus in on their little piece of the pie. And so far, I tell you, Nicholas Letang might live to be 168 years old. I mean, I ain't seen him get excited about anything. And that, to be honest, that's the best thing I've seen. I want to be the guy on the sideline, like, panicking and sticking a spoon in my mouth. Like, I like the kicker being like that. He's boring. You know, exactly how I want him. And
because let's face it,
consistency.
You had some games last year that came right down to the end.
Yeah.
And the kicking game is big.
Right. It's huge. Like, you don't really think about it until you lose a game because you missed 2 field goals. And so we got to, he's got the same job that everybody else got to do. It's just his is tougher because, all of a sudden you're there. And so you have to have a great mindset all game long and just an even kill to just go out and do your job.
For the last couple of years, you've had the best punter in the OVC, Alex Knight. Alex has moved on, and it's Evan Scales. Big kid, 6'2", 212, your new punter.
Yeah, he's a St. Louis guy, and, he's done a really good job. Jake Reynolds is also back up, and so we may see both of them. We're not real sure about what that looks like until we get through the game. But like I've told the punt team, there's 9 other you guys, 10 other you guys. If we have a bad kick or whatever, you guys need to do a good job go covering it.
All right. What does your wife think of the beard? Because it still looks strong as it's ever looked.
Pretty solid. I'm trying to be more like Jesus this year, but it's just the only thing I've gotten done is my beard. So
how's the walk?
I'm a work in progress.
How's the walking on water thing going?
That not good, not good. I'm trying to lose a little weight, growing a beard. I got my
cowboy
game day boots on, or game week boots on. Got me some Cayman with a little red in there, so it'll get me excited. Tuesday's full day. Full padded practice today, and I can't wait to get in front of the team again.
All right, and practice is at what time today?
3:30.
All right, we'll wrap things up with Coach Tuke when we come back. One final timeout, and we'll talk about the Kansas Jayhawks. That's the opponent that the Redhawks will be facing at Memorial Stadium coming up Saturday night at 6 o'clock. Back with a final segment with Coach Tuke. We're at Wings, Etc. It's the Redhawks Coaches Show on SEMO ESPN.
Sports. So much that we packed our walls with tons of big flat screens tuned to the very best sports programming. At Wings Etc., we love big, cooked to tender, crisp perfection wings. And so do our fans who have voted our wings best in more and more cities across the Midwest. At Wings Etc., we love beer. We love it so much that we have over 40 different kinds of beers in bottles and on tap, including your favorite regional craft beers. Wings Etc. It's not complicated, and we like it that way. Come see us today.
Business owners, let's talk profit for a sec and how to obtain more of it.
Increase sales by telling area buyers about you on the radio.
Sure, but where, when, and how, right? Well, there's a website that has information on local stations, the formats, who's listening, and how to get results. And all this info could lead to a lot more profit. Log on when you get a sec. Great advertising begins with a little research.
Visit SEMOadvertising.com to learn more. That's SEMOadvertising.com.
And now, your ESPN Radio Network local weather forecast.
The remnants of Tropical Storm Harvey look to bring some rain and some wind to the area late this week into parts of this Labor Day weekend. For the rest of your Tuesday, we'll see a mostly sunny sky, highs low 80s, partly cloudy tonight, low to mid 60s, a touch warmer Wednesday, sunny clouds, highs mid 80s. From the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Todd Horn.
You're up to date with the latest weather forecast breaking on the ESPN Radio Network.
Well, dude, obviously you'd be better as the focal point of the show. Would I be better for society? No.
The Ryan Russillo Show, weekdays at noon on SEMO ESPN and SEMOESPN.com.
12:54. We've got 6 minutes before 1 o'clock as we are back for a final segment here with Coach Tom Matukowicz. We are at Wings, etc., and we'll be in the Cape Girardeau location again next week. In 2 weeks, we'll be over in the Jackson location. But it is the first Red Hawk Coaches Show of the season with Coach Tom Matukowicz as the Red Hawks get set to head to the University of Kansas. One thing I've never been able to figure out, why they call it KU when it's not Kansas University, it's the University of Kansas. I guess to be opposite of Kentucky, I'm not really sure why they call it KU when it's really the University of Kentucky. But you're a Kansas guy.
Yeah, and I don't know why either. It's interesting because this will be my third time playing KU, and what would it be, 7? I played him 3 times in 7 years, and it's the third head coach.
And Turner Gill, Charlie Weiss, and now Dave Beatty.
Coach Beatty. Yeah, so I think that's a little bit of why they're trying to find that winning season. But I respect for Coach Beatty and what he's been able to accomplish so far, and they have a lot of momentum in their program. It's the first time in school history, right? They beat Texas.
Right.
I mean, they've been playing football a while, right?
They've been playing football a long, long time.
So,
in
I mean, at the end of the day, to be able to accomplish that says a lot. I know they've been able to get their roster a little better, and they got some young guys that are on all-conference type list. And, he's got the same job I've got. We're trying to turn program around and create a winning program. And so, it's a tough job, but I know he's excited about opening the season just as we are, and it should be a good night. It's going to be great weather. I'm glad it's not 150. It's going to be a tough road trip. We got to go there and then come back home after the game. And
it's about a 6-hour drive, but you're going to break up the drive on the way there.
Yeah, we're going to practice up in Columbia at Tiger Stadium, or what do they call it?
Memorial Stadium, yeah, Furrow Field.
Furrow Field, yeah. We're going to walk through there, and so appreciate them letting us use that, and it kind of is a good in-between, break it up. We're going to stay in Kansas City. It cuts an hour off of the initial drive there, and since we don't want to stay in a hotel all day long on Saturday, it gives us something to do in the morning, and then head over there and go try to take it to the Jayhawks.
This is a Kansas team. They were 2-10 a year ago, as you mentioned, one of their wins over the University of Texas. Since in the last 8 seasons against FBS teams, 9-75. So it has been a tough road here, but David Beatty has momentum, as you mentioned, and some of the players that he's got on the roster. I mean, they've got the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, preseason All Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, Dorrance Armstrong. He's also an Athlon Sports preseason All-American. Is this the best defensive lineman you're going to see, bar none?
Oh, yeah, for sure. This guy's dynamite, but he's not alone. So that's the thing is, he's got some other good defensive linemen to go along with him, but we got to know where he is, and that's one of our offensive keys to victory is to not let them win the game for him. Let's make one of their other good players win it.
Kind of some secrecy around who they're going to start at quarterback. Many believe it's going to be Peyton Bender. At least the newspaper in Lawrence, Kansas believes it's going to be Peyton Bender, a guy that spent 2 years at Washington State, then last year 21 touchdowns, 4 INTs at Itawamba Community College, and a guy that is going to line up under center at 6'1", 190. What have you seen on film from Peyton Bender?
Well, I think he's a dual threat guy, and I think they want that type of guy. They want a guy that can throw it and run it, get out of trouble, those type of things. I think it's just like anything. It's a new coordinator, new quarterback, and so
he's got TCU's coordinator. So
yeah,
I mean, this guy's got a pretty good track record of revamping offenses here.
Yeah, I mean, he was a national assistant coach of the year a couple of years ago. So they're gonna have him prepared. They're used to scoring 50, 60 points, a lot of games. They've had over 90 snaps. And so defensively we got to do a good job, and offensively we got to do a good job of having ball security and, sustaining drives and those type of things.
What do you see from their star wide receiver, Steven Sims Jr., 79 catches last year. He is 13th on their all-time career reception list, 102 catches, and he's caught a pass in 23 consecutive games, and that is the 4th longest streak in school history.
I think just really consistent. He doesn't drop balls. He's really strong at reception point, and you don't have those kind of records by accident. He's a good player. We got to know where he is. Unfortunately, they got a lot of other ones too, so we can't just dial in on him. And I think my message to our football team is this game's about us. Whether we win, lose, or draw, this thing's about us. Where have we moved the needle? Where are we at? Let's end this game, knowing more about ourselves and not having regrets about how we prepared for this game.
And we want to remind everybody that the game is going to be at 6 o'clock. We also want to pass along, there is a Labor Day doubleheader on Monday. You've got Redhawks volleyball and Redhawks soccer, the volleyball match against the Leathernecks of Western Illinois. That's going to be at 4 o'clock at Houck Fieldhouse. That is Labor Day Monday, 4 o'clock for volleyball at Houck Fieldhouse. And then the soccer team is on the field. They are 3-1, off to a great start. That's going to be a 6:30 kick against Louisville out of the ACC. They're going to have a free Labor Day cookout in the end zone beginning at 5:30 if you're coming for the soccer game. That includes free hot dogs, free burgers, courtesy of Stevie's Steak Burger, and one admission is good for both games. You can go see volleyball and soccer. So everything's here, man.
Yeah,
volleyball's going,
the
soccer.
fall is here, and
football.
It's awesome. We got this fall weather. It hadn't been 150 degrees, so it feels like football should be here.
You talk about everybody really buying into the family atmosphere with Redhawks football, the culture about wanting to be a good teammate. Everyone would like to open the season at home, but even though you're going on the road, this is an early chance for this team to bond because there's a lot of bonding that goes on road trips, right?
Yeah. I even changed how we travel bus-wise and how we do our roommates. I used to travel offense, defense, and young guy bus, where now I'm traveling a mix. Everything's mixed. Everything's mixed in the hotel room, and it's just creating opportunities for our kids to connect with each other.
All right, 6 o'clock Saturday night. We'll have a 5:30 pregame on SEMO ESPN 92.9, and you can always listen to Redhawks football. Just download the SEMO ESPN app. Looking forward to the season, Coach. We'll see you Friday when we head out to Lawrence, Kansas. Thanks so much.
Sounds good.
All right, that's Coach Tom Matukowicz, and that is going to do it here from Wings, etc. We'll get you back into ESPN radio programming again. 6 o'clock kickoff in Lawrence, Kansas at Memorial Stadium Saturday night, Redhawks and the Jayhawks. We'll talk to you then. Thanks to Coach Tuke, and thanks to everybody. Nice turnout for our opening show here at Wings, etc. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. So long from the home of the Redhawks Coaches Show, Wings, etc.